At the start of the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, we had 16 teams hailing all across North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. And wouldn't you know it, when we're down to 2 teams, it is the 2 sides who are just about 25 minutes apart from each other in Monterrey, Mexico, as it is Tigres playing host to Rayados in the first leg of the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League final. Tyler Terrence along with Juan Arango, thank you so much for joining us and for tuning in what should be a historic match and a Clásico Regio with an electric atmosphere. Pitch conditions for tonight, a slight chance of rain, 76 degrees, but nothing that should prohibit us from getting these 90 minutes in ahead. Juan, it cannot be understated enough. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath in terms of the pride, the passion, and just the downright plain fact that these 2 teams don't like each other. How much does it mean, not only to the players, but to the fans?
And it's not just the passion and the blood and the guts and the tears and everything else. It's saying we're number 1, we're the best, we have the history, we've beaten you before, we want to beat you again. And you see that because Diego Alonso said it yesterday during the press conference. This is going to be tight. It's going to come down to little things as far as the differences between one team and the next.
And while we gave you a brief glimpse of the trophy, why not take a look at the road to the trophy? And for both of these sides, it has not been an easy road. Both teams having to go through not only Major League Soccer sides, but Liga MX sides as well. I mean, you look at Tigres and their road, they were able to take care of business in the first leg against Santos Monterrey with a 10-2 aggregate win over the last standing Major League Soccer team in Sporting Kansas City. And when we looked at these 2 teams heading into this tournament, it was always going to be Clásico Regio. Only chance it's going to happen is in the final. That's what everybody was sort of hoping for, and especially Tuca Ferretti, a team in Tigres that has gotten to this final before, have never been able to get across the finish line and hoist that ever-elusive International Cup. And meanwhile, on the other side for Monterrey, they've been here and they've done that. And like you said, Juan, it's a matter of being number 1, being the best, not only within your country, but within about a 25-minute radius as well.
And remember that these 2 teams just faced off a little over a year ago in the Liga MX final. Tigres winning at Monterrey to be able to crown themselves champions yet again, but also that little spot, well, right now it's about a thorn, about 1.5 inches thick as far as Tigres is concerned. This is their 4th final coming in. They've already been to previous finals in CONCACAF Champions League. Also, back in 2015 in Copa Libertadores, they were not able to win any of those finals. This one is going to sting if they don't come through.
Well, these 2 sides have seen each other this year. Back on March 9th, it was a 1-1 draw. Funes Mori had that incredible back heel to get things started in the 34th minute. And then Luis Quiñones, on what really we can only call was just a disastrous mistake by the Monterrey backline. It would finish 1-1. There's not a lot to separate these 2 sides, whether it be this year in 2019 and their form in the Liga MX table, both currently sitting in 2nd and 3rd, respectively, between Tigres and Monterrey. Monterrey a bit further back of Club León, who have been absolute world beaters during this Liga MX Clausura stage of 2019. But really, when you take a look at these 2 sides, they have great strikers. The middle of the field is really, really good just in terms of moving the ball, and they're tough to break down. Tigres has actually only surrendered 1 goal at home throughout this entire competition, and that was against the Saprissa side when the game was really already in hand at that point. Meanwhile, on the other side for Monterrey, they put 10 past the Sporting Kansas City side, who was the last great hope for Major League Soccer until they weren't.
Yeah, that hope lasted very little in that first leg especially. But not only that, it's the fact that we've seen this Monterrey side come back. They had a bit of a stretch in Liga MX play where they were struggling, came back big against Santos Laguna. Look at that right now.
Players coming out onto the pitch here at Estadio Universitario. Clásico Regio for Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League final. It's Tigres and Monterrey. Monterrey moving down the receiving line. Darla Pavon having a little bit of fun with Tigres coming down that handshake line as the crowd is ready to go here at Estadio Universitario. As you get a look down the Monterrey bench, we'll get to starting 11s in just a few moments. Again, I'm Tyler Terrence. Sitting right next to me is Juan Arango. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday night to enjoy what should be an absolutely emphatic 90 minutes. And here's a look at the Tigres starting 11. There's a little bit of a change here due to a yellow card caution suspension for Chaka Rodriguez. And as far as the back line's concerned, we're probably not going to know until this game starts to unfold what Tuca Ferretti wants to do.
It could be a back line of 4, it could be a back line of 3, it could be a back line of 5. But one thing's for sure, no Andre Pierre Gignac up front. It will be Ener Valencia. Carlos Salcedo getting the start for Ricardo Tuca Ferretti. And it'll be important to see how they come out of the gate. Maybe a foreshadowing of things to come, that little slide by Dorlan Pavon. At least if you're a Tigres fan, they hope that's not the case. John Pitti, the referee. Honduran assistants, Cristian Ramirez, Alejandro Camarena, and Said Martinez, Hector Said Martinez of Honduras as well. The refereeing crew looking to impart justice here, Tyler.
John Pitti has actually had his fair share of experience within the World Cup, particularly in Russia in the summer of 2018 as a fourth official for a number of large matches that took place in Russia a little over a year ago now, as John Pitti and our refereeing crew look about set to go. And we'll get a look at the starting 11 for Monterrey in just a few moments, who have been in terrific form, specifically within this tournament. 10-2 win over Sporting Kansas City in the semifinals, as we'll take a look at what Monterrey is going to bring to the table. And much like Tigres, in terms of their back line, the formation is going to be what we've seen throughout this entire tournament, 4-2-3-1. But again, the center back pairing is a different one that we're used to, with Stefan Medina, the Colombian, stepping in.
Stefan Medina stepping in, and of course, no Basanta, as he's going to be out for an extended period of time. No Cesar Montes after breaking his nose this past weekend against Veracruz. So Stefan Medina, Nico Sanchez, pretty much the lineup we've seen for quite a while for Diego Alonso.
Monterrey, 3-time Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League champions from 2010 to 2013, beating Santos twice and actually Real Salt Lake of Major League Soccer once, as Nahuel Guzman getting the troops fired up in the Tigres huddle. Meanwhile, on the other side for Tigres, they've been to finals before. They have never been able to take that step. But Tuca Ferretti looking to change all that, and it starts with 90 minutes here tonight at home in front of a raucous crowd. And there's a look at the substitutes available. Andre Pierre Gignac is the name that jumps off the page. He has bags and bags of goals at his disposal, but he's had some lower body discomfort as of late. He's been playing in Liga MX games. He has not seen a single minute of action in Champions League play.
He has not, but you know what? With a player like that, you don't need to see a lot of action. He is Mr. Big Game.
He is the action.
He is the action. He is the straw that stirs the drink. He is the man that makes it happen. Regardless of how many minutes he plays, he will always show up for you in big games.
Nahuel Guzman in between the sticks for Tigres. Meanwhile, it's Marcelo Barovero, who Andre Pierre Gignac has actually never scored against in 7 appearances against the 35-year-old from Argentina, as John Pitti gets us underway from Estadio Universitario in Monterrey.
Tease us there for a
little
second.
Premature. Ener Valencia wants a little bit of help from his Chilean teammate, Eduardo Vargas. Now we're officially underway. 180 minutes ahead, 90 minutes here at Estadio Universitario. We'll go 25 minutes down the road next week for the second leg of this final. Again, Tyler Terrence alongside Juan Arango. Thank you so much for joining us. 90 minutes ahead of what should just be downright incredible football.
Immediately you start to see some of the defensive structures as far as what Tuca Ferretti wants to establish, a backline of 3 beginning to become quite apparent with Salcedo over on the left. Then you start to look at Mesa and Ayala over on the other side. Pretty much that triumvirate in the middle is already a man down. Tendency of things to come as Aviles Hurtado, player that's been nicked up throughout this tournament, is already on the ground, and we'll see how he's able to function throughout this entire match.
Hurtado, one of the more dangerous players for Monterrey moving forward. 31-year-old from Colombia in his 2nd season with Rayados. 4 goals and 5 assists this season. He had that incredible bicycle kick in Liga MX play a few weeks ago that was truly spectacular. And for Diego Alonso, well, he's been there and done that, not exactly with Monterrey, but with Pachuca back in the 2016-17 season. Comes to the near side for Salcedo, who's been playing in the center back role, but enjoying his time at the outside back position in the opening 90 seconds or so. Here's Aquino. Loves to run at defenders 1v1. Tigres showing teeth in the opening moments. Dueña's shot blocked in front. And Quiñones will just see it out of play.
One of the keys in the match is to look at how the players in the middle of the pitch start to recycle one another, how the movement ends up really creating space or ends up creating associations. That's what these two teams have been able to thrive upon. How these two teams are able to connect amongst each other in the middle of the pitch, create and establish those types of connections, and make themselves get a plethora of opportunities throughout this entire match. Now, if you're able to neutralize, that's going to be another story.
Awkward play here, and that's going to be a foul. Well, where have we seen something relatively similar to that in a Champions League final before? More of the European variety, but Enner Valencia is being told by John Pitti he doesn't want to see any more of that. Valencia is trying to make his case, but he knew exactly what he did.
Very similar to what Ronaldinho tried to do a few years ago with Querétaro. Of course, that looked a little bit more stylish than this one, but still Valencia, he's got to find his way as the former Everton man.
Well, Valencia has had a knack for goal. He has a nose for goal as well, as you can see. Leading the Golden Boot race in the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. 7 goals and an assist in the tournament thus far. And Juan, you and I were talking off air before we came on in just that if Eduardo Vargas is going to drop as deep as he has been recently, you have to have an informed Enner Valencia, and that's exactly what's gone down for Tuca Ferretti's side.
That's exactly what's happened. They've been very opportune and been able to find Enner Valencia. Valencia has also been that catalyst, if you will, especially in the transitions, which will be something very important to be looking at, not just for Tigres, but also for a very explosive Monterrey side going in the opposite direction.
Mistake for Monterrey, it'll go back for Tigres. Nerves, obviously, a big part of a final, let alone a derby. Hurtado with the touch, cleaned up by the Tigres back line, but straight up into the air. Pizarro couldn't quite get there. And here's Valencia challenging and winning the header. Vargas, more of the same. Upsteps Pizarro, beating Rodolfo Pizarro to the punch. Hurtado not exactly popular amongst the crowd here at Estadio Universitario. Aquino around one defender, around 2, draws the foul, and it's going to go against Celso Ortiz, the 30-year-old from Paraguay.
Again, look at the middle of this sector of the pitch, the matchups that you're going to start to see emerging. You start to see Guido Pizarro and Rafael Carioca. Those two, how are they going to be able to handle it? You're going to see a lot of Aviles Hurtado being able to try and help out in the middle a little bit to try and neutralize those two. Seeing where these two teams are going to find generation of offense, look no further than Rodolfo Pizarro for Monterrey. He's going to be very important alongside Celso Ortiz to be able to create things. We'll see exactly where they come in. Also, keep in mind Charlie Rodriguez, who's been one of the most effective passers, not just in Champions League, but also in Liga MX. So very important motor in the middle for Monterrey, those three.
Well, the 2 engine rooms for both Monterrey sides in Tigres and Rayados have been enormous in their successes, not only in this International Cup, but in Liga MX play as well. And it should be really interesting to see how it's going to unfold as Pizarro getting stuck in there, but last touch coming off of Tigres. This physical play, I think the grace period is going to be a bit longer than most other finals. As Monterrey trying to find an opening here. Hurtado thought he had an opening. Quickly closed down. Here's Pabon. He's going to whip one in, but easy enough to handle for Nahuel Guzman. And he wants to go quickly on the other end. Quiñones pushes it out wide. Now it's the Chilean Eduardo Vargas. Quiñones trying to switch the point of attack to find Aquino, but asking a lot out of himself in terms of the ball that needed to be played.
So far we're seeing Monterrey finding each other. A bit more difficult than obviously expected, but still finding those avenues, slowly coming through. The key will also be how much amplitude they have when they go on the attack. How wide are they going to be with a player like Dorlan Pavon, with Aviles Hurtado maybe having to come into the channels to offer some support as a layout.
Quiñones, couple of great moves, showing good skill. But up steps Nico Sanchez, who's just an absolute bulldog at the back for Monterrey. 11 goals in the Liga MX campaign for the center back. Not a half-bad defender either. Hugo Ayala.
Good job by Monterrey right now as they're able to really plug up any of the outlets so far. Rafael Carioca being marked by Rodolfo Pizarro. You see a lot of problems, but good block defensively as far as Monterrey's concerned, giving Tigres a lot of trouble playing out of the back.
Well, it almost looks like a 4-4-2 defensively for Diego Alonso's side, but it'll morph into that 4-2-3-1 when they have the ball. Aquino in support. Goes over the top. Referee not interested in the contact, or lack thereof.
But there's a lot down here.
A lot more contact down here, that's right.
He's going to make it retroactive as far as the foul's concerned and bring it all the way back near mid-pitch. Maybe someone's winning lottery ticket is down there. I don't know.
I have a feeling those are all losing lottery tickets. A job that I certainly would not want to have, and I believe I speak for the both of us when I say that. John Pitti having to...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy that has to clean up the pitch.
No, not that job. Well, also that.
Yeah,
but John Pitti having to keep order in store for this game.
I wouldn't want that one either. Actually, I pretty much prefer at that point being the guy that picks up the ticker tape on the pitch. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Ball intended for Valencia, but good defending at the back from Monterrey, and a bit too much on that ball.
Good matchup beginning to develop in that sector. You start to see Valencia going up against Stefan Medina, a player that is very physical, tends to get into a little bit of trouble, might get a yellow card or two here and there. So you could start seeing a little bit of friction beginning to develop, and that could be one of the openings for Tigres if they really do start taking advantage of it.
Well, you love the approach from both managers in the opening 8.5 minutes or so. Both sides going after one another in terms of press and throwing numbers forward. As Hurtado coming away with this one. Draws the double team. Barovero. Gonna play it safe. Hugo Ayala winning the header. Pizarro bringing it down. Quinones, who's been lively in the opening moments, gives it away. And now here's Monterrey on the move. Pabon, nice little stutter step, but cleaned up by Ayala. Pabon again, good touch towards the byline. Aquino coming in, and that's a terrific sliding challenge. It will be a corner for Monterrey, the first of this final.
Good job. Initially, the pass by Funes Mori was meant to go into space, but really it didn't have enough pace on it to really lead Pabon on. But again, Pabon's speed is able to make such a difference there, but good job by Aquino as well. A great week for not just Ramiro, but also Rogelio Funes Mori. I'll mention in just a second after this corner kick.
Pabon, who got things started against Sporting Kansas City in the first leg of that semifinal, and then really opened up the floodgates as this is a teasing ball, but straight into the hands of Guzman. 10 minutes gone in this first leg of the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League final here from Estadio Universitario. A couple of half chances for either side, but a lot of adrenaline, a lot of physicality in the opening 10 minutes.
And if you want to neutralize Tigres, that's exactly what Monterrey is doing right now. Not allowing anyone in the middle to get some clear-cut opportunities to transport the ball, to create, to get that second or third pass connected. So what do? Have to skip lines, look deep, and hope for the best.
Well, that's where you need Eduardo Vargas to come in, but Monterrey does such a good job of sitting in that block in the middle of the field that there's no space for the Chilean.
Yeah. I see Guido Pizarro moving into that slot a little bit more. That'll be important to see how that ends up developing. Same thing with Luis Quinones.
Another one by Medina. Good pressure from Carioca, the Brazilian. Sanchez. Good distribution out of the back. Hurtado had it poked away, but it'll stay with Rayados. It's a dangerous challenge from Hugo Ayala, and it's a late whistle from John Pitti. But a whistle nonetheless, and a free kick coming from Monterrey.
As you mentioned at the beginning, Tyler, it's going to be physical, pure, unadulterated physicality. That's what it is right now. Funes Mori, as I mentioned, a good week not just for him, but for his twin brother as well. Rogelio, part of the ideal 11 as far as Liga MX is concerned after his hat trick against Santos Laguna. But also, even more interesting, just the other week, his brother ends up being on the ideal 11 as far as La Liga is concerned after Villarreal were able to get out of the relegation zone. So it's been a good past couple of days for the Funes Mori household.
Funes Mori, who hasn't been scoring as often in this tournament, but has been a playmaker nonetheless. Pabon, as well as Hurtado, have been getting in on the scoring act for Monterrey in the past couple of rounds. Nahuel Guzman having to do some organizing at the back for Tigres.
Watch out with the opportunity here. It's still within Layun's range.
Well, now the whole Tigres line is going to move up. Nico Sanchez wants it. It's not a bad ball, and it gets all the way through, but just out of the reach of Hurtado. And you can see the sense of urgency from Tigres. Even when that ball goes out of play, Nahuel Guzman wants to go as quickly as possible. I mentioned Diego Alonso and his successes in this tournament, winning it with Pachuca back in 2016-17, getting that automatic bid into the FIFA Club World Cup, and was an outstanding player in his own right. We're looking to take yet another club in Liga MX to the club promised land. As Carioca bends one in, Valencia, and that is another really physical challenge from Sanchez, and he's going to be shown mustard here in the 14th minute. And that's not exactly what you wanted if you're Diego Alonso, as your main center back being shown a card in the opening 14 minutes or so.
14 minutes, first yellow card of the match. And Nico Sanchez immediately coming in. But you knew that this was within the realm of possibilities, not just because of how this match has developed, but how things have developed in previous encounters between these two teams, that is a major factor. We'll see how that conditions Sanchez as far as commitments that start coming through at the rest, throughout the rest of this match.
119th meeting all time between these two teams. Tigres have the edge 41, 37, and 39 with a +8 goal differential.
If you start really delving into it a bit more, it starts sounding like a boxing record because there's one no contest. Back in 2000, these two teams met. Match got suspended. So it's quite intense on the pitch, off the pitch, and everywhere beyond.
Ayala out of the back.
And the way Monterrey defend right now, causing a lot of problems for Tigres coming out of the back. You see that once again. Rafael Carioca, and you see right there, that's the best outlet that they've had. Carlos Salcedo, who's been pretty much pinched up near the line.
Now Pizarro wants to go long, and as Juan's mentioned a couple of times, that's exactly what Monterrey are trying to bait them into. However, it does just take that first picture-perfect long ball to unlock this Monterrey defense.
But then again, you start looking at how Tigres are able to play. They can play the long ball. They can play that deep ball, looking to win that second ball and try and develop after those types of passes. Monterrey need to be more controlled. Yes, they can go on transition, but they end up being not as effective if they don't have the ball at their feet and being able to connect in a certain sequence of passes. Monterrey, unlike Tigres can go more direct. They can go for the long ball a bit more. They do have the weapons to create a lot of problems on the other end. So it's not all one side being more dominant, but it's one side really being able to dictate a little bit more what they want to do compared to the other.
Here's Hurtado trying to dictate this particular move for Monterrey, but a bit too close to Guzman in the byline. And both teams just feeling each other out a bit in the opening 16 minutes. There's a look at the Frenchman, André-Pierre Gignac.
He just became a Mexican citizen the other day. Just passed his citizenship test. Actually, 2 of his kids were born in Nuevo León. that also gives a little bit more relief trying to find some type of reinforcement going into next season.
Pizarro keeping the train moving. It's Darlan Pabon now. Back for Pizarro, who won this tournament last year with Chivas. Back for Pabon. Time for delivery, knocks it off of Mesa, and another corner coming up for Rayados. Both teams have had an enormous amount of success from set pieces, particularly Monterrey, and the likes of Nico Sanchez coming up. Funes Mori, obviously a big target as well, and delivery from Darlan Pabon doesn't hurt either. 13 assists in Liga MX this season so far. Three goals and 2 assists in this tournament for Pabon. Another decent ball, but the header didn't have nearly enough steam on it.
A different bit of swagger that you see from Funes Mori. It was that tie against Sporting KC where pretty much every ball was going past him and being knocked in by someone else.
Yep.
Or he'd come close. You saw the body language a little different. But in the past few days, that ball's starting to go in the net, and that's just the goal striker's mentality.
Here's Vargas, who's had a goal striking mentality more or less his entire life, but as of late, he's been excellent as well. 2 goals and a 3-0 win at Lobos, and had the equalizer against Morelia, a game in which Tigres trailed 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, but were able to find 2 late equalizers from Zelarayan and Vargas.
That's another player who's on the bench, Lucas Zelarayan, who's also been able to come off and make a living for himself as far as Tigres is concerned, part of that nucleus.
That's the thing about both of these sides. They're just littered with talent, and a lot of them don't get to play.
Yeah, you know, we'll just throw them on the bench, no problem. Yeah. But that's what's made them so successful in every single tournament that they've been able to play in. The depth that they have in every single position. And the quality they've been able to show week in, week out.
Mesa will send it long. Valencia gets bridged a bit, and Nico Sanchez needs to be careful. He's just asking to get an early exit and to miss the next leg, which would be devastating for the Monterrey back line, although, again, just plug and play. As we have heard that Montez is probable for the second leg of the final after breaking his nose, as that challenge is a late one, and now a yellow card, and some verbal dispute afterwards, more so on the sides of Ayala, but he's going to get a yellow card. So now both center backs,
both number 4s.
Both number 4s have seen yellow cards.
Right there, just chop the big tree down.
Late, from behind. You give Giampitti no choice.
But regardless, you still gotta make your case. You still gotta lobby. Maybe Yvonne has been none other than Francisco Mesa, who has that matchup, that really unenviable task of trying to neutralize a player that has that much speed, that has that much pace down the wing. And he's gonna need more support. That's gonna be the key for Javier Aquino, to see how he can drop back or be able to help neutralize him in order to make those runs. He was just timing it right. You saw right there, he's like, that little bit of a false start. As soon as that ball went over, he already had him beat by at least two body lengths.
Torres Nilo and Chaka Rodriguez both missing for Tigres. Chaka Rodriguez suspended due to yellow card accumulation. Picked up a late silly one in the second leg of the semifinal in a game that more or less was in hand against Santos. Ayala, he's on a yellow card tonight along with Nico Sanchez. Guzman filling himself out of the back. Sanchez, a towering header. Cut out by Hurtado. Pizarro with good defending and able to draw the foul. You saw exactly what Carlos Rodriguez was trying to do, just kind of straight through the legs of the Tigres captain.
Good job by a young man who was just born nearby the stadium, Charlie Rodriguez, excuse me. Think about Carlos Gutierrez, who just got called up by the Mexican under-20s and plays in the Pumas youth system.
But there's one name missing from that list that you were particularly upset about.
I mean, I don't know if upset, but
surprised?
Not surprised, because we saw that coming, as Monterrey was already talking about blocking him from going to the under-20. Of course, we're talking about Jonathan Gonzalez. And, of course, everyone saw that coming. The writing was on the wall as far as that's concerned, but still it doesn't make it necessarily right, although Rayados have been saying throughout, no, he's one of our players as far as, you know, our Champions League run, as far as our league run, so no, we're not going to let him go.
Well, it's a good problem to have when you're playing in all these competitions and you're competitive as you are, but it does create some problems.
And he's had limited minutes. He's played less than 400 minutes as far as the league is concerned.
Carioca. It's going to go short for Tigres. Dueñas back for the Brazilian. Numbers at the back post for Tigres. Good ball in. Valencia is there, but he mistimed the header. Pizarro trying to wiggle his way out of trouble. It's a tall task with Valencia right in the neighborhood and allows Tigres to stay in Monterrey territory. Javier Aquino once more. Carioca. Out by Hurtado. And now Monterrey will look to go the other direction. Funes Mori. Sent it towards Pabon again, and they just want to hammer this right flank.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. And I mean, wouldn't you right there? He hits it. Oh, he kind of whiffed it with his head, hit it with his shoulder, and of course that's the reason why it was deflected in such a manner. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Tyler, if you have Dorlan Pavon going up against Francisco Mesa and you really don't have any support system or any type of security valve around him, yeah, that's the matchup I have to go to consistently.
It's Salcedo and Mesa trying to deal with the ever-dangerous Darlan Pavon. Here is Salcedo. Finally, Tigres starting to find some breathing room, and we're starting to develop a rhythm in this wild Clásico Regio. Final leg number one is Quiñones' delivery denied. Aquino. A very good job defensively for Monterrey, because when Tigres have started to threaten throughout this game so far, they've done a terrific job of getting numbers back behind the ball. Here's the Chilean Vargas. Rare miscue from Valencia. And Celso Ortiz is down for Monterrey, and Giampiti is going to bring the game to a screeching halt. And the fans aren't happy about it because Tigres were threatening.
And this is the worst kind of foul, because at least initially it doesn't look like it was any contact or related with any contact. We'll see. Now he's saying there was, but we were talking about earlier, Tyler, about how Tigres was having so much trouble being able to see right there the replay. I just got a little bit of a body check, a little bit of a love bump. But we're talking about how much trouble Tigres had in the middle trying to contain. The key, well, we brought Quiñones in, and you start to see how the ball really started to move around a little bit better in that sector, thus finding Salcedo, finding more options down the left-hand side. So we'll see how that starts dealing a little bit, because you do have numbers favoring Monterrey just from a formational standpoint alone.
And Hurtado will play it back for Tigres. Fair play.
Yeah, you'd still be upset too if you were in the middle of an important attack and all of a sudden, well, let's stop it. Already 30 minutes in.
And you can see Tigres struggling to just get any sort of support coming back to the ball. Pizarro was locked up. Quiñones locked up. Look of frustration. Tuca Ferretti's facial expressions aren't going to change throughout the game, whether they're up 4-0 or down 4-0.
Or whether they win or they lose.
Sanchez took a late knock. Salcedo first to it. Coolly done by Carioca. Now it's Pizarro, the captain. For Vargas, has to go negative, but at least continuing to connect the dots for Tigres. This one of their betting passing moves of the game, as we've officially eclipsed the 30-minute mark.
And it's neutralizing the pressure that Monterrey wants to establish in the middle of the pitch, thus not allowing them to create any transition opportunities.
Dueñas feeling the pressure. Will go all the way back for Guzman. Probably what we could have expected from the first half hour. Really physical, not much of a pace, and Monterrey trying to counter.
I mean, with this type of matchup, you can expect the entire gamut, from a very tight encounter to a very fast-moving, high-scoring affair. I mean, that's just pretty much what these types of rivalries do offer. Expect the unexpected.
Valencia. Dueñas, first time delivery, not a bad one, but Barovero is there.
But the key for Tigres in the past few minutes has been, all right, let's get the ball in the middle, knock it out. Try and find the spaces, try and open this Monterrey defense a little bit more. Try and relieve the pressure with one-touch passing. Give and go, good associations in the middle.
Salcedo associating himself with Quiñones. And now Carioca will switch the point of attack. Here's the jack of all trades, Jesus Dueñas. Now finding Enter Valencia. And broken up by Celso Ortiz. Pizarro on the turn. Good defending from Dueñas. And plays it into the channel, and now Tigres showing a little bit of teeth. Quiñones taken down, some theatrics afterwards. Hurtado is the culprit. Let's see if it warrants a yellow card, and it is going to. Wow.
I'm not sure if that was, I don't know if there was contact there, to be honest with you. Let's see.
Nope. But when the reaction is that big.
He was too fluid. Oh, yeah, well,
the shin guard
he
a
got
little
the
bit.
shin
Yeah.
guard. Okay, fine, we'll give him that.
But when the reaction is that big from Quiñones, you know that it's probably
Selling.
nowhere near it. Yeah.
Aviles Hurtado goes into the referee's book. It's a 33.
That's surprising because there have been heavier tackles in this game so far that have not gotten yellow cards, but Hurtado being shown one there.
That again goes when, and John Pitti's a good referee, but at times his criteria tends to change a bit from one foul to the next. So that again is where that uncertainty leaves you, especially if you get a yellow card early in a match that he's refereeing. Player that we haven't heard from much is Miguel Layún.
Jesus Gallardo either. It's been mostly the front four for Monterrey that have been getting the headlines in terms of moving forward. But those two started in either of El Tri's most recent friendlies against Chile and Paraguay.
Which ironically, the one against Chile was refereed by John Pitti.
It's a small footballing world. Vargas. No recycle for Tigres.
Past 10, 15 minutes in all about Tigres and what they've been able to do. Really muffling the attack of Monterrey, not allowing the playmakers, the ones that really make the difference, create. There's been spaces that been able to exploit.
Vargas wanted the return. Pizarro again flirting with danger in his own defensive third, gets bailed out by the referee. That's about the second or third time that we've seen the maestro in the middle.
That's his greatest blessing and also his greatest curse at times. Maybe he gets caught dribbling too much in areas that he shouldn't be. But also that's been part of his brilliance so far throughout his career at the same time.
Hurtado. Almost a mistake from Tigres. Here's the Colombian again. And giveaway from Monterrey, straight to the feet of Carioca. And now space to play for Tigres. Carioca, near side for Aquino. Valencia. Carioca, looking for an option. Duenas now. Vargas. Quinones in support. A little bit of miscommunication between the Chilean and the Colombian. And a foul called against Tigres. And credit to Monterrey, because whenever Tigres do get into Monterrey territory, they just look out of sorts.
They do look out of sorts, and it's kind of a reflection, and no better player that encapsulates that whole statement you just made than Edu Vargas. You see him at times being very, very ambitious, going forward, going after it, and all of a sudden one touch and he just loses it, and he's just standing around like, okay, what just happened? So again, you see intent, you see desire, but at the same time, you don't see that clarity at times being able to evolve as far as Tigres offense is concerned. Monterrey, when they've had it, they've been able to do it, but again, they haven't been able to find the goal as clearly either.
Here's Pabon. Early ball, Guzman sharp to it. Well, as Juan mentioned at the top of the broadcast, last time that these two teams met outside of the March 9th meeting, which finished in a 1-1 draw.
Big mistake here.
It is a mistake, and it's Hurtado trying to capitalize on it. Hurtado, Pabon. Darlin Pabon, Guzman with a terrific save. And Tigres able to get rid of it, but Nahuel Guzman called into action and answers the call emphatically.
It's not just a mistake, it's the static reaction with which Tigres was able to respond to this mistake that ends up creating the opportunity. All defenders stood there while Darlin Pabon had the ball. Fortunately for them, really no one else tried to open themselves up, run to goal, or try and make an opportunity out of nothing as far as Monterrey were concerned. That's what bails Tigres out in that particular opportunity.
Eduardo Vargas in a heated conversation with John Pitti, and John Pitti doesn't want to hear any more of it. And Hurtado is being told by Pitti, use your head because you just got a yellow. You'll see your second if I see anything like that again.
Right there again, fairly called.
Ball's already gone.
But on Tigres' side, this match is starting to ripen up a little bit more and find a place in the world, or find a place on this pitch, I should say, for Gignac, because now you start to see Edu Vargas losing his head a little bit, losing his focus at times, getting too involved with more yammering and trying to talk a bit more than to focus on his actual game. So do not be surprised if Gignac comes through offside.
Pabon, good ball forward. Onside, here's Sanchez, it's off the post!
I want to see that again. I thought Nico Sanchez was offside.
It was an intriguing ball from Pabon nonetheless. And Sanchez might have curtailed his run. That's a late challenge. It's coming courtesy of Ener Valencia on Celso Ortiz, who's taken a number of knocks in the opening 39 minutes. But our first true chance of the game, and our first Woodward sighting.
He's on. Yeah, just on.
He's just on.
Right there, but then again, that shows you how quick we've been talking about how Tigres has been the team that dominates, but they're just 2 touches away from getting burned, and that's the key. Just look at the foul.
I also just want to point something out, that was your center back who receives that ball like that, sets up the shot, and cracks the post.
Totally. I mean, it just shows you how many different waves that Monterrey can throw at you at any time in this match.
Hurtado now. Somehow able to keep it. Whipped in, but easy enough for Guzman.
So far in the diagnoses that you can give of this match, in the first 40 minutes, Monterrey, when they have the ball, there's more purpose, there's more direction. Tigres tends to wither around, try and find its way, try and find themselves against a team that's been pressing them and making their life complicated.
Aquino finds Pizarro, which sort of relieves a bit of the pressure for Tigres. It's Salcedo. Now Vargas. He has been held utterly quiet and gives it again away, and the foul on Vargas. Funes Mori goes down, and this has been a wildly frustrating first half for the Chilean. He has had no room to play.
And it's encapsulated. There was a bit of a snapshot that we saw there of the middle of the pitch. 4 Monterrey defenders against 2 Tigres attackers. And what is, okay, fine, you can take it out wide. I don't care, it doesn't matter. You're not doing much down the wings. You can pass it around, dribble it around all you want, but when it comes back into the middle, we're there to receive it and go on the transition. Man, when he's doing that with his fingers, I don't want to be near him. The godfather of Monterrey.
The godfather of Monterrey has about 4 or 5 minutes plus stoppage time to try to sort something out in the dressing room with his side.
Again, you see the numbers, how things end up being developed. Guido Pizarro sends a ball into space, and there's 6 defenders. I see, look at Nico Sanchez shot right there. Didn't have enough curve on that.
Is it going to stay in play for Monterrey? Yes, it will. It's good hustle from Miguel Layun. And a corner kick coming up for Rayados.
Or maybe not.
No? Come on.
You know, actually,
come on.
Layun was asking, he was complaining. He's like, no, come on, it's got to be more than that. I think he was asking for a handball. That's what happened there.
That's not a corner.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm hanging it up. I'm done.
We just turn off the lights and go home. Yeah, no, totally. But when you see a player complaining, you go, what?
Here's Pabon. Another good delivery. It's Sanchez! Monterrey strike first! And it's Nico Sanchez, the ever-dangerous center back. 1-0 to Monterrey right before halftime.
I would say that the stadium is silent, but there's one little sector that's making noise that is absolutely deafening. As Monterrey, well-deserved, they've been the team that has gone after it. They've been the more ambitious side. Diego Alonso, right here. Let's see what Nico's, right there. Great job by Sanchez. It wasn't, see, ladies and gentlemen, that play right there is not about going forward. It's about being able to get off your mark. Nico Sanchez, seeing that the defender's more defending with his arms than with his eyes and with his body, is able to just shift over to the left. 1-0 for Rayados.
Nicolas Sanchez, the 33-year-old from Buenos Aires, Argentina, his 3rd season with Monterrey. His 3rd goal of the tournament. He's 14th across all competitions for Rayados. Again, that is your center back, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, he was the hero, almost turned villain against Alianza. Enter Valencia, almost was able to get that one off, including the deflection. Baravero, a good kick save, and now a corner kick coming up for Tigres, and that goal from Sanchez, a bit of a wake-up call. And we do need to remind you that away goals are null and void in this final. It's the aggregate is the aggregate is the aggregate. Carioca now. Not a bad ball in, one by Vargas, but it's just over the bar.
As you see right there, as that was what Barovero was asking for, saying, what about the foul there on Stefan Medina? Again, as we talked about at the beginning, that was going to be one of the encounters, one of the matchups that was going to be focused on the most. Let's see what this second half has in store. Is sometimes the best thing for a team that's losing is to get a goal conceded. Kind of a wake-up call, as you mentioned, Tyler, so we'll see how that ends up playing out for the rest of this match.
Well, it always seemed like Monterrey were going to get the first one. They've been by and far the better team. Tigres has had more of the ball, but it sort of seems like the game plan from Diego Alonso says, you guys can have it, we'll hit you on the counter with our 4 and see if you guys can defend.
They've had all sorts of trouble. 1 minute of stoppage time added by Giampiti.
And it is just 60 seconds added on here in the first half.
But overall, and we've talked about it quite a bit throughout this match. Of course, Tigres had their moment, but they weren't able really to capitalize. We didn't see any really true shots on goal when Tigres were in their best form in this first half. But Monterrey, they don't need much. They don't need many chances, and they don't need much possession to really hurt you. If not, just ask Sporting Kansas City.
Oh. Too soon?
I don't know about too soon, but
not soon enough.
I thought it was never enough as the first half comes to an end.
So Nicolas Sanchez, just a few minutes before halftime, strikes first in this Clásico Regio Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League final, leg number 1. A wildly frustrating first half for Tigres. Monterrey have executed their game plan almost to a T. Juan Arango, your thoughts?
Again, Monterrey's been the better side. Monterrey's had more ambition. Monterrey's gone into the opposite team's own park and being able to establish themselves, wanting some revenge from that Liga MX final that they lost in their backyard, want to give their eternal rivals the same remedy.
Again, away goals do not count for more in this final, so it is 1-0 on the aggregate flat to Monterrey, thanks to Nicolas Sanchez header off the Darlin Pavón corner in the 43rd minute. We've reached halftime here at Estadio Universitario. We're going to step aside when we come back. Highlights and stats from the first half, and of course the conclusion of this first leg. Halftime here at Estadio Universitario, and that is what is on the line between these two sides that are separated by just about 25 minutes, of course without traffic, as Tigres and Monterrey, the long-awaited Clásico Regio final in the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, as John Pitti, our head referee, got things underway. And Juan, from the get-go, it was physical, it was awkward, and it was anything but pretty in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, not something that you would be looking at as far as a Picasso painting is concerned. Still some of even the ugliest dog in the world has somebody that thinks it's cute, especially if you start finding ways to goal. If you're Monterrey, they did find ways to goal. Maybe not the most precise, but they were getting much closer than Tigres were. And
the game plan from Diego Alonso was just, listen, we'll let you have possession. We're going to make it really difficult for you to play down the middle of the field because that's where Tigres' strength lies. Finding Guido Pizarro, Quiñones, Eduardo Vargas coming back. And Nahuel Guzman's made a couple of good saves, while Monterrey has just basically said, we're going to counter. We're going to see if your four can defend our four, and we'll go from there.
And so far, they've been very assertive in that assumption. They've been able to come through with one of the more dangerous opportunities there, and Valencia hitting it off his shoulder. But as you mentioned, the matchup between the attackers and the Tigres defenders have gone the way of the men in blue and white. That's been the case so far. Tigres did have a moment where they started to turn the tide a little bit, but not enough because Monterrey would find the spaces to really counterattack and kept them honest.
A wildly physical first half. There were 3 yellow cards issued. Hugo Ayala and Nicolas Sanchez were given yellow cards more or less before the 20-minute mark. Nahuel Guzman with by far the best save of the game there. Nicolas Sanchez gets a great opportunity here. We thought he was off. Replay showed he was on. However, he cracks the post. But Nicolas Sanchez would have the last laugh, at least in the first half. And as you can see, Monterrey, whenever they came down this right flank, they were just wildly dangerous.
Just the matchup was not favoring them at all. Francisco Mesa had no way of stopping Dorlan Pavon, and that really created a cavalcade of opportunities that ended up in that.
And it culminated with this 43rd minute. Dorlan Pavon sends it in. Nicolas Sanchez, and Juan, as you said it, the defender wasn't really always that close to him, and he just sort of drifted backwards and was able to find it. Meanwhile, about 20 seconds after the goal, it was a wake-up call for Tigres, and I think we're going to see a rejuvenated Tigres side in the second half.
That's very important. You see right there, the matchup that we've been talking about, Stefan Medina and Ener Valencia, the Colombian and the Ecuadorian going at it. That's been pretty much a telltale sign of possible things to come.
And that's going to do it for the highlights from the first half. Again, Nicolas Sanchez, 43rd minute. And right now it is the only thing separating these two sides between a few miles in the city of Monterrey. And as you can see, almost 60% percentage for Tigres. I mean, it just is one of those things where Monterrey is happy to let them have the ball.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the case to see if they're able to capitalize in the second half of any additional mistakes that Tigres may have.
Second half coming your way soon. Don't go anywhere. almost set for the second half here at Estadio Universitario. It appears that John Pitti is set to go. Nicolas Sanchez with the game and ties only goal so far, coming in the 43rd minute right before halftime off a Darlin Pabon corner. Monterrey have been the better team, created more chances. Nicolas Sanchez has also struck the post. Nahuel Guzman is forced to make a save as well. And we're officially underway in the second half. Second leg will be next week at Estadio BBVA Bancomer, the home of Monterrey. And to settle this once and for all, again, Monterrey trying to exact revenge against the Tigres side that beat them in their house 2-1 in the second leg.
No changes.
I was back about 18 months ago in the Apertura final. And no changes, as Juan was about to mention, for these two sides. However, I will expect those changes to start to come fast and furious around the hour mark. As the referee says, play on. Carioca finding Valencia. Try to go straight through Jesus Gallardo. Good sliding challenge and recovery from Tigres. But again, Monterrey just stymieing that Tigres attack whenever they get into the final third.
Interesting to see how Rafael Carioca has gone more into the attack, but become more offensive-minded, trying to help out Edu Vargas, trying to help out Ener Valencia especially, and creating some sort of semblance of an attack, some semblance of a threat in the early stages of this match. There goes Jesus Gallardo.
Great first from Hurtado, but the second touch wasn't quite there, and now it falls for Edu Vargas. Flips it into space. Valencia will be able to get there, but working on Nico Sanchez. Valencia, straight into Sanchez. Seconds won by Vargas.
So far that touch by Rodolfo Pizarro, maybe you don't see him as a huge offensive threat, or hasn't been a major offensive threat compared to the Funes Moris or Darlin Pabons out wide. But from a defensive standpoint, has been that player that with his first touch, even his second, has been able to decompress certain situations that Tigres have looked to generate in their own offensive end.
Well, now here comes that press again from Diego Alonso's group, where it looks like a 4-4-2. Coming out of that 4-2-3-1 as Tigres slowly but surely building up from the back.
Interesting the work that Aviles Hurtado is doing. Whenever he needs to, he ends up making a 4-2-3-1, but then ends up dropping back and making it a Christmas tree formation depending on where the ball is situated. So interesting to see where Tigres can go because of where Monterrey are forcing them to go based on how they're positioning themselves on the pitch defensively.
Carlos Rodriguez, Ortiz, Pizarro, even Gallardo will come centrally and just bottle everything up. As Aquino trying to turn the corner, taken down from behind.
And that's the perfect thing. They're bottling everything up. They're trying to make things as narrow as possible for Tigres. And that's been one of the big troubles that they've had to look to overcome.
There really is no aerial threat on the side of Tigres. Valencia and Eduardo Vargas, neither of them really close to 6 feet. I mean, Quiñones is probably the biggest one, but rarely is he coming that centrally to receive delivery. Meanwhile, on the other side for Monterrey, as you've already seen from the set pieces, I mean, Nico Sanchez is an absolute beast when he gets forward. Funes Mori is difficult to deal with, and the delivery from Pabon when he gets there is outstanding.
You have Funes Mori, who can also, as you mentioned, win those aerial balls, but also serve as that pivot player that when that deep ball does come to him, he can really be able to deliver it and really start getting his teammates involved.
Vargas has a second chance here. Back for the Chilean, but a bit too cute. However, a little bit better from Tigres, and the crowd starting to recognize that. But he has not looked himself tonight.
Right there you see the challenge. And not the most pleasant feeling that you're going to have when you're Aquino. But for the most part, you've seen Monterrey being able to morph into different contexts defensively. You see a team that really wants to limit, and they've been finding ways to limit, and Funes Mori asking for the foul. But it's interesting to see how defensively they've been able to structure themselves. Okay, fine, we'll take you out wide. We won't let you go in. Really disrupting a lot of the continuity that Tigres need in order to create clear offensive opportunities.
5 minutes gone in the second half. It's Valencia now, working on Medina, but the Colombian again, who's played an outstanding game, stands up Valencia, and the Golden Boot leader in this tournament with 7 goals to his name. And the foul against Tigres as Pizarro was just a half a step late. What's the message from Tuca Ferretti in the dressing room, if you had to guess?
Let's be patient. Let's continue to possess, but let's possess with purpose. One thing is possessing and just knocking the ball around for the sake of not having it. But another thing is trying to possess with the intent of attacking, with the intent of harming. And we haven't seen that too much from Tigres in almost 50 minutes of play. We haven't really seen Barovero be truly tested or truly threatened throughout 50 minutes. That, again, has to change a little bit. And if you start looking at what Gignac can offer, I think that's where you start to see the first substitution. I just don't really see it, especially based on the players that you have here.
Valencia showing good strength. Foot race with Medina, and Medina beats him to it. You could more or less make the argument that Medina's had the Ecuadorian in his back pocket this entire game.
He pretty much has. And not only in the back, when you look at the play away from the ball, yeah, Valencia's making the runs out wide, Medina's chasing him down, but okay, Valencia gets past him. Who does he associate with? There's really nobody there to really create that second or third ball to be able to create a chance on goal. So it's pretty much him against the world. Interesting to look at Salcedo and where he's positioning himself now, trying to give a little bit more width. We were talking about how narrow they are. Salcedo's trying to change that narrative a little bit. If you see him running down the lower side of lower end of your screen, past couple of times he's been making runs to give a little bit more width and use himself as an opportunity to open things up against this Monterrey defense.
We appreciate all you who are tuning in. This game being broadcast all over the world. Florida Sports Network in the Caribbean. Of course, in the United States on Yahoo Sports, Canada on TSN. Thank you so much for joining us for this momentous occasion and celebration of CONCACAF's best at the club level. As Pizarro knocks it back, Pabon couldn't quite get there, and cleared away by Hugo Ayala.
Everybody was saying in Mexico, this could probably be the best final ever. Still 90 minutes plus to really give it that crown.
Tigres is the chant here at Estadio Universitario. And Guzman will be able to pick it up. He played a great first half, Nahuel Guzman. I mean, there were a couple of shots that easily could have found the back of the net, but he was sharp to it when his back line really wasn't.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of times you saw some lapses as far as that back line is concerned. Nahuel Guzman there, pretty much stopping all the gaps. And not only that, being able to distribute very well with his feet. One of his most impressive qualities as a goalkeeper.
Monterrey want the foul, they'll get it, as Salcedo showed a bit too much at the bottom of his boot.
Right there. We've talked about Monterrey defensively. Well, Tigres essentially have dropped back to a 5-4-1 on several occasions. So at times we want to say it's a back line of 4, it's a back line of 5. We talked about that at the beginning of the broadcast, Tyler, is how Tigres does end up morphing on several occasions here, right? The foul that's going to be called. Right there.
One of the few involvements that Miguel Layún has had tonight.
And one of the many that Valencia has been involved in tonight. Both taking and giving.
Now the two Pizarros, unrelated. Jockeying on top of the ball. The build-up from Tigres. Salcedo. Luis Quiñones, not a bad ball in. Vargas was trying to turn. Here's Carioca. And it's straight into the hands of Barovero. If that's anywhere else, it's probably finding the back of the net.
Again, great build-up there by Tigres. Being able to find through. And fortunately, Carioca being able to hit it the way he did, gets right under Dorlan Pavon. But the key, getting Guido Pizarro involved, getting Salcedo involved, down that right-hand side, the key to success for Tigres in the early stages.
Well, I'm going to take it a step back and even simplify it. That was the quickest we've seen them move the ball. Forget where it is and the movement or whatever it might be, but just flat out,
the quickness.
That was the fastest we've seen them move the ball. One touch, two touch, out, going the other way.
Totally, and trying to find the open man, simplifying things as much as possible. That's very true. That also is something that we haven't seen today.
Again, is very unlike Tuca Ferretti's side. They usually love to play and interconnect with one another, but Monterrey, credit to them, have totally thrown Tigres off of their game tonight. And a lot of that's been due to the physicality. And if this does turn into a street fight, if the street fight continues, then I think that bodes well for Monterrey.
Or if the street fight turns into a game.
That remains to be seen.
That's Diego Alonso. You hear saying, now, now, now. He wants to keep that intensity up. He talked about during the press conference how intense his team needed to be defensively in order to neutralize this Tigres side.
Especially with all the pressure that they're coming with. If there's one or two lines that are broken, the whole thing falls apart. So it requires an intense amount of discipline as Valencia is ambitious from distance, and we'll chalk it up to that. And there you have it.
That's where it's going to happen. It's either Edu Vargas or Ener Valencia.
That man is officially taken off his cape, his coat, whatever you want to call it. And it looks like he's going to get his first minutes of the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League in the first leg of the final.
Batman coming on. Who do you take off, Robin or Black Panther?
You come up with those yourself?
Oh, no, they're there. I mean, I don't need to reinvent. Someone that's going to have to reinvent is going to be yellow card coming out. Is it Nico Sanchez? If that's it, let's see who that is. The yellow card that was issued.
It was Quiñones who went down. I believe it's Medina. Excuse me, that's Celso Ortiz.
Yeah. So third yellow card of the match for Rayados, fourth overall. Big opportunity coming up for Tigres. Let's see if the substitution's made now, although.
And it looks like it's Aquino who's coming off.
So coming on is going to be Jürgen Damm.
Double switch. Jürgen Damm, who's seen limited action in this tournament as well, but is by far one of the more dangerous players on this Tigres roster, and one of the fastest, probably in all of CONCACAF. Who's going to come on, and Edu Vargas comes off, and on comes Andre-Pierre Gignac for the first time in the 2019 edition of Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League.
Now he's telling Quiñones where to go. Go wide. To widen things up a little bit more. Now this is going to be very interesting how this chess match begins to evolve now.
And just the switch itself has injected a bit more life into Estadio Universitario, as if it needed any more.
Talk about what these changes can signify.
It's Valencia, the save from Barovero. Jürgen Damm tried to whip it back across, and a corner kick coming up for Tigres.
Good heads-up play there. Barovero didn't want any complications. Now, at times throughout his career, his hands have been questioned. Seemed a little bit simpler, but he was unable to corral it. Now a counterattack coming up here for Rayados.
And look at Pabon. He was just trying to run onto it and beat Damm on the outside.
So it will be very interesting to look at the insertion. I didn't think Jürgen Damm would be the first or second option, might have been the third. But as far as Tigres is concerned, it'll be looking for Jürgen Damm to really create some pace down the wing, send some crosses. Now that's going to be the big question mark as far as his accuracy is concerned. Really open things up. Quiñones also getting associated with him down the right-hand side especially. And also trying to find that one target, Andre Pierre Gignac.
Gignac with 20 goals and 3 assists in Liga MX thus far. Had 26 goals last year.
4 behind Tomás Boy for the all-time leading goal scorer in Tigres history. Of course, Tomás Boy currently the coach at Chivas. Just took over for José Saturnino Cardoso.
Quiñones trying to get to the byline, but that runs out of play.
So that's another option as well. You do see Quiñones play out on the left, Jürgen Damm playing over on the right, opening the defense up a little bit more, which has been a problem for Tigres. Now it'll be interesting to see where Ener Valencia ends up coming out in this equation. But Gignac will definitely be up top as the first number 9. Valencia most likely will be the second forward, dropping back a little bit more and running onto the defense.
Good ball in. Hurtado will be able to get there. Hurtado. And it's a massive collision between Salcedo, Guzman, and Funes Mori. Meanwhile, Tigres go quickly on the other end. Into space for Valencia. This one's starting to open up a bit. Pizarro. Now it's Dueñas. Quiñones back for Dueñas. Dangerous here. The save from Barovero, the follow from Damm. Not quite good enough, but Barovero has been much busier in the past 10 minutes than he was the entire first half.
Good opportunity, good development here by Tigres. Just slapping that ball away, Barovero, creating all types of complications. And again, speaking of complications, Monterrey starting to feel it a little bit more. As we reach the 63rd minute of play, how will Monterrey react? That's, again, the big question, because offensively, ever since Gignac has come on, we haven't seen Monterrey being quite as effective on the other end.
Gignac has barely touched the ball. It's just his mere presence. That one intended for Gignac, one by Medina.
Great interview that Gignac gave L'Equipe during the weekend. Talked about how he felt so Mexican, how he was so excited to be a part of this rivalry, because he talked about it on the same terms as a Boca River, as a Fenerbahce Galatasaray, with that type of intensity. We want to live every second of it.
And it's offside on Monterrey. Tigres will go quickly again, down 1-0 at home in this first leg of Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League final. Here's Gignac, first real involvement of the night. Gets the return from Carioca, but gives it away.
Still not looking 100% Gignac in the early stages. Still lumbering a bit. Still not totally 100% after that knee injury that he suffered. But still, that presence, as you mentioned, Tyler, that mystique that he's been able to develop within Mexican football and also within CONCACAF, really making a difference as far as his presence on the pitch is concerned.
Gignac will turn down An offer from Monaco last August, signed an extension in November, saying that the city of Monterrey and Tigres have received me from day one and made me feel at home. Good ball in. Gignac was the intended target. Good matchup between Gignac and Nico Sanchez as far as the aerial battle is concerned.
Interesting, you see that shift by Nico Sanchez and Stefan Medina. Stefan Medina's been able to go out a little bit more. Now Nico Sanchez is going to have a bit more responsibility. Enter Valencia now. As a player falls down there without any contact.
Well, he's claiming he got stomped on or something by Miguel Layun.
Luis Quiñones, yeah.
Intended for Dom. Puts the brakes on, but gives it right to Jesus Gallardo, but good defending from the El Tri
Gallardo's
member.
Go, let's go! And Dom, you mentioned it especially, how his pace can be such a difference maker. But then also, at times, if there's been a knock on Jürgen Damm throughout his career, it's been his inability to really be accurate with crosses. Well, one Mexican journalist actually said, whenever you give Jürgen Damm the ball and he runs, it's like playing with 12. But whenever he starts crossing, it's like when you're playing with 10.
So the question is, which Jürgen Damm will we see tonight?
Damm at one point, when he was still a youth player, had a trial with Manchester United. Has been that eternal promise. Another foul here in favor of Rayados. Of course, the foul by Jürgen Damm.
Well, it was a grade 1 right thigh tear that kept Jürgen Damm out for most of this tournament. Only has one appearance, 23 minutes. Limited time in Liga MX, started in 8, played in 18, no goals. Obviously nothing to show for in this competition as well. And now Nahua Guzman with some more organizing to do at the back. The first time he's had to do that in a while, especially in this second half, as Miguel Layun, a little bit of a pump fake. Now he'll whip it in, and a bit too close to Guzman, and he'll want to go quickly.
That tells you a lot what you just said about Jürgen Damm, and not only that, Jürgen Damm and Gignac both being out for extended periods of time, and yet Tigres are in second place.
And in the final of an international cup.
Exactly. So it just shows you how much depth there is on Tigres, just like we've mentioned before, how much depth there is with Rayados.
Physical play continues as Funes Mori and Carioca get tied up. Into space for Pizarro, good touch out wide. A little more than 20 minutes remaining in this first leg. It's Nico Sanchez's goal in the 43rd minute. That's the difference maker. Dueñas. Pizarro, room to deliver. Tried to cut it back, shouts for a handball. Didn't look like it was close. And good defending from Quiñones, and he'll stay with Tigres.
Have to be some very long arms to be able to call that a handball.
Quiñones on the first time. Pizarro trying to bring it down. It skirts underneath his foot. And now here's Valencia. Pizarro will take it, and that is mightily scuffed.
Not just once, but twice there by Guido Pizarro. And through all that, Jürgen Damm was open down the far post. Still looking for Gignac. Still, it seems at times more desperation to just get it on target than actual thinking through in progressing and developing an opportunity that can be more clear and concise.
Well, how much has to do with the fact that they haven't had any chances tonight. So when they get in front of goal, they're like, well, we better take advantage of this opportunity because we might not get another one.
It seems exactly like that.
Dom brings it down. Let's see the delivery. Doesn't get past Gallardo. Tigres with sustained pressure, especially ever since the double switch. Exit Aquino Vargas, enter Gignac and Dom. Pizarro. No foul from the referee.
Pizarro's down again.
Well, it looks like a substitute's getting ready. And Maximiliano Mesa.
Yeah, Maxi Mesa will probably start playing more in the middle, trying to get some more control, trying to be able to recover the ball in the middle of the pitch for Monterrey. The other options, Edson Gutierrez, Leonel Vangioni, Eric Cantu, who started against Veracruz on Friday at night. Johan Vasquez, who actually was the one that broke Cesar Montes' nose in that match. And Angel Saldivar, who would be another option outside of Maxi Mesa, the Argentine international. Mesa still the jury out on him. Very ballyhooed arrival here with Monterrey, who hasn't been able to fulfill expectations after coming from Independiente in Argentina.
For the small fee of $13.2 million.
Makes Miguel Layún just seem so cheap at 3 million euros,
exactly,
right?
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Layún, not a bad ball in. Hurtado straight into the hands of Guzman. The flag stayed down, and Hurtado knows.
But it's amazing to see Monterrey being able to create such opportunities off set pieces against a Tigres side that has been known as a very strong defensive team and a very well-disciplined defensive team.
And that wasn't even close.
No.
I mean, that was just a total miscommunication along the back line.
Substitution.
And now we are going to see Maxi Mesa, the 26-year-old from Argentina, in his first season with Monterrey.
Aviles Hurtado comes off. That was probably the first option.
And Hurtado, especially sitting on a yellow card, is the best option to bring off. And as we mentioned before, $13.2 million from Independiente. And he got flipped
you see
for
right
about
there.
$2.7 million.
And as he salutes the Tigres faithful. Now it'll be interesting to see Maxi Mesa. Will he play out wide or will he play more towards the middle, allow Rodolfo Pizarro to play out wide a little bit more? And it looks like it's going to be the former, not the latter. Hugo Ayala, a player that has had his share of troubles with Funes Mori tonight.
Quiñones trying to turn Layún. Difficult task, but he's able to do so. Dueñas back for Quiñones,
Offside.
but he's offside. Anytime a Tigres player receives the ball with his back to goal, there is no room to play. Zero.
And no room, actually not just no room, just no one to play with. So give a lot of credit to Monterrey to be able to neutralize those two aspects of play, and it was interesting. You mentioned that, what was it? I think it was maybe 10 or so minutes ago when Tigres were knocking the ball around the middle of the pitch. That was one of the only times they've done it. That's, again, one of the keys that Monterrey's been able to really neutralize as far as Tigres' attack is concerned.
Jürgen Damm, a swing and a miss. Here's a lofted attempt, and it's an ambitious one at that.
Give him an A for effort on that one, at least. And that would have gone in. That might as well start turning the lights out.
When those go in, you don't have a chance if you're on the receiving end of it.
And you would have no reason to blame Paton Guzman on that one, as he just came out to play the ball. His teammate just ends up being on the side of error.
And it was Jürgen Damm, who has not looked sharp since coming on.
And that's been one of the question marks throughout his career. He can be extremely brilliant. Of course, that's one of the reasons why when he was national team coach, Juan Carlos Osorio was so high on him. But then it was also one of the reasons why he ended up being so disappointed in him towards the end of his tenure.
Valencia, great little nutmeg. Layún trying to recover. Quiñones now battling with Medina. Two Colombians going at it. Quiñones still with it. And Barovero cleans up the entire mess. And Quiñones is asking for a bit more from the crowd here at Estadio Universitario.
Tigres right now attacking with more skill than will, more heart than art. been one of the big sins for him today, but still, with a team with this much talent, with a team with this much capability of scoring, you can never count them out. Unless they give the ball away like that.
Salcedo gives it away. Now it's Pizarro. Last thing Tigres wants is him pulling the strings in the middle of the field ahead of steam.
It's interesting with Maxi Mesa. He doesn't have the pace that Aviles Hurtado has, but he does settle the ball a little bit more. He can create more alongside Rodolfo Pizarro. He can give them that stability when he does have the ball at his feet.
Here's Jürgen Damm. Draws the double team. Now he's going to use his pace. Damm to the outside, and his delivery straight into the hands of Barovero. So there you see the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of Jürgen Damm.
Now, if you start looking at Tigres, of course, the big sub that everyone was waiting for was Gignac. Damm also comes on. Now you start looking at Damian Torres, you start looking at Edu Mendez. Maybe Lucas Salarayan, the savior against Morelia the other day. Is that an option? Maybe. Is it Jorge Torres Nilo? You're not really going to bring in a left back at this stage, so Ed would end up chalking that one and throwing it aside.
Unless you went to a full-blown three-back system and you use him as a wing-back.
Yeah, that's the only way, but why do you take out someone in the middle?
Why change it now?
Yeah, why change it now? Would you bring someone in the back when you need to attack more?
Pizarro. Dueñas along for Valencia, draws the double team once more. Gets the delivery away, it's not a bad one. Damm. It's been anything but super for the substitute. Again, still trying to get back into true match fitness and in form. And much to the dismay of Tuca Ferretti, it may be taking a little bit longer than they expected. Meanwhile, Diego Alonso has to be very pleased with the performance in the first 77 minutes of this two-legged final. Again, Nicolas Sanchez with the only goal in the 43rd minute off of a corner right before halftime. Tyler Terrence along with Juan Arango, first leg at 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League final. Clásico Regio. The stage has been set and then some, and it's been Monterrey who's stolen the show thus far from a tactical standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, and right now on the aggregate. Here's Gignac, a rare touch since coming on.
Monterrey will take this all day long. They don't care. They're really not coming with any type of danger in front of Barovero.
Give away from Pizarro. Funes Mori trying to turn and did well there.
And yet when Pizarro, when Carioca, they're not really in sync, you notice it on the offensive end. And when they're not in sync defensively, you notice it in the back. So, I mean, you have that metronome in the middle not functioning, especially if you're Tigres with their system. It just does not come out to look very fluid or not look very threatening at all.
Layun keeps it low. Somehow falls for Gignac and plays Jürgen Damm into space, who's floated over to the left-hand side. Damm. Good ball. Here's Gignac on the first time. They want a handball. John Pitti wants none of it. And a foul coming out the other way. And now the referee has become public enemy number one in Monterrey.
Bring it down a notch, son. As the 40-year-old referee saying, calm things down. Remember, no VAR here. So, no. Grazes off the back of his jersey.
But as you said,
no
always,
VAR.
Always got to make the claim.
Yeah.
Always got to make it.
Sometimes it'll go. Sometimes it will. Well, Monterrey, you look at them and they're really solid in all their lines. Now, if you start talking about the fatigue factor beginning to set in, yes, that is very important. But so far, really no one that I could say, you know what, they need to take this piece out and put this other piece in. As of right now, you can't say that. Again, that's barring any fatigue factors that begin to set in.
Jonas on the turn. That is really well done. Still with it and eventually gets fouled. That is excellent individual hold-up play and skill from the Colombian.
Yet that's been the most dangerous aspect of Tigres. Hasn't been their collective play. It's been those individual sparks, those individual moments where Valencia on one end turns in, when he runs at the defense, when Quiñones is able to do that. It's come down to those individualistic type of moves that have been able to somewhat keep a spark of hope as far as Tigres are concerned. They have to do it collectively in order to make it happen tonight.
Gignac trying to turn. He's going to let one fly, and Barrovero can hold on to it safely. Andre Pierre Gignac starting to find small, acute little windows. That's the last thing that Monterrey want. Here's another look at that handball shout. Nothing in it.
Goes off his back, so Quiñones is getting more involved as minutes pass by.
Valencia cushions it down. Gignac. Smart play. Quiñones now goes for the curler. Blocked by Gallardo. Knotted back down. Ortiz will clear it. Monterrey starting to press a bit. Now it's Jürgen Damm. Damm towards the outside. That should be a corner.
Should have been a corner.
Goal
it's
kick.
Not. It's going to be a goal kick. But it's interesting, you look at Gignac and his history, and his, I mean, even at this point, you can say it's a love affair that he has with Tigres. But yet today, you see another French player that's come over to Mexico, and Jeremy Menez, and he's pretty much declared war on Miguel Herrera.
There's very few who have not done that.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that too. But Jeremy Menez already, after his coach comes out and says, well, you know what, why didn't he play? Well, he's not putting effort. He's not committed to the team. He says it publicly, and then Jeremy Menez afterwards comes on social media and says, well, all your claims are lies. It doesn't really go after it. He kind of subtweets it a little bit. And you know it's pretty much open season as far as America is concerned. America, who would be playing, if things end up the way they do in the Liguilla, would end up playing Tigres in the first round. Of course, there's 2 more rounds left. A lot can change, especially the bottom half of the table. Tigres assured at least second place. And it just shows you the differences as far as how Gignac is taken into Mexico and Jeremy Menez has been able to not do it.
Here's Valencia after the long ball, and Stefan Medina clears it away, but concedes a corner. And the Tigres faithful, sensing the gravity of the moment, sensing their side down 1-0 at home, do not want to go to Bencomer, trailing this Rayado side.
Just threw the boom mic across.
Won by Funes Mori, who's back for defensive responsibilities. Dueñas knocks it back out from where it came. Here's Damm. Pavon trying to get the best of Mesa. He goes down. Referee, fair play to him, was not interested. We'll play on once more. Jürgen Damm once more.
The lack of precision as far as it's become predictable and inaccurate. Dylan Pavon.
That's too soft for him.
And it's too soft for a guy with like Pavon's build.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take that much to knock you down. And Maxi Mesa now back up. Still trying to win the Monterrey faithful over, but hasn't played as much as he expected to.
Again, another instance of an international coming over and trying to win over a group. I mean, it's difficult to do. It's great when it happens, when you find somebody like Andre-Pierre Gignac who embraces the city, embraces the fans, the club. And it shows on the field as well. It translates onto the field as Quiñones bends one in. Gignac was there, but a great header from Medina as he beats the Frenchman to it. Now it's Dom again, trying to get it on his right foot this time. Not a bad delivery. Here's Pizarro, and it just glances wide. That was a real opportunity to level us at one.
Probably one of, if not the best opportunity for Tigres in this second half. Just missing it wide. Again, another great chance. This one, now you see what we're talking about when they say when Jurgen Damm is on, it's like playing with 12. But so far, it's been like he's been playing with 10, Tigres. This is one of the keys to get him on. He needs quantity, he needs opportunities, he needs chances. You see right there, 2 substitutions. Eric Cantu coming on, one of the 2 substitutions. Pizarro losing that ball. Looks like Leonel Vangioni was getting ready to come on as well. Start looking at a back line of 5. As far as Monterrey are concerned. Charlie Rodriguez hasn't been as effective as one might have thought he would be. Although he's served a defensive function alongside Celso Ortiz. So that also kind of gets lost in the mire, especially in the last few minutes.
And especially if Monterrey aren't going to be on the ball. If you're a central midfielder and you're playing in this sort of system, your name's not going to be called, you're not going to be in the flashy headlines, but you're serving a very real tactical purpose that some fans might not see.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And many people aren't accustomed to seeing him in that type of function. People, he's a player that's going to be moving the ball around and really finding opportunities.
Dueñas finding Dom. Miguel Layun goes to ground and gets it right. He's had a lot to deal with in terms of the different types of players over on that left flank, Miguel Layun. And now those 2 substitutes are going to take place. And Darlan Pabon will dish the captain's armband over to Nicolas Sanchez. And with the new rules that have been put in place, you can exit the field anywhere you want if the referee sees fit. And that's what Tigres are trying to do. They're trying to usher him off the field at the nearest exit.
Look like they're trying to tackle him. Well, that's going to take some more time off. Yeah, as Vangioni getting ready to come on. Cantu, more midfield containment type of players. Vangioni, of course, in the back. He can also serve his function. Vangioni scored the lone goal for Monterrey this past Friday night against Veracruz, as he got a start over at left back. So him and Cantu. And then
Carlos Rodriguez coming off.
Charlie coming off.
So Vangioni, the 31-year-old from Argentina, his 2nd season. Spent some time with AC Milan. River Plate Old Boys over in Argentina. Eric Cantu, meanwhile, 20 years of age. Originally from Monterrey, a local boy. And replaced Carlos Rodriguez, and he really has not seen a whole lot of time, whether it be in Liga MX or in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. This is his first appearance of the tournament.
He played on Friday, too. He started on Friday for Diego Alonso.
Of course, that rotation is so important, especially when you get into the latter rounds of an International Cup. Back post, and that's great communication for Monterrey. They see it out of play, and Rayados are mighty close to escaping Estadio Universitario with a 1-goal lead. Still a little bit of time left, but this is revenge. If you're Diego Alonso in this Monterrey side, given what happened in that final a couple of years ago in the Apertura, where Tigres won 3-2 in the Clásico Regio, and they won the second leg in Monterrey 2-1. And now here's Funes Mori, but he's offside, and that led to the song being chanted, and this is the English translation. You can help me out with the Spanish one. Champions in your house.
That was one of the hashtags that they had been using throughout this entire preview or leading up to this entire tie.
Couple of bodies hitting the deck, including Quiñones, and it looks like a yellow card is going to be issued to Jesus Gallardo. Well, the hashtag can't necessarily be returned by Monterrey after one leg, but they're about halfway there. Four minutes of stoppage time.
4 minutes away from winning for the first time in 3 years here at Estadio Universitario. Last time Rayados were able to win was back in May 11th of 2016, a 3-1 victory. It was by Carlos Sanchez, Dorlan Pavon, and Funes Mori. The lone goal for Tigres was courtesy of offside.
Gignac! Barovero punches it aside. Still alive for the home side. Quiñones towards the byline. Good ball across. And Monterrey deal with it appropriately, but they concede a corner in the process.
Barovero was calling the offside, but the referee decides to play on. Great play there by Barovero to react. And again, the lack of continuity from Tigres. In that 3-1 match, the lone goal by Tigres was Rafael Sobis.
It is impressive, though. I mean, Andre Pierre Gignac is just a terrific footballer, but it doesn't matter the angle, whether he's off balance. He always finds a way to square his hips to the goal, get his foot around the ball. I mean, it's really
always on target for
always
some.
On target.
Yeah. Or very, very close, but still, I mean, it's rare that you see that ball getting skied into the stands. The Tigres have been the more offensive team throughout this second half. Monterrey have kind of hunkered down a little bit more. But still, that hasn't translated into much as far as Tigres being threatening in the grand scheme of things.
Got a run by Salcedo, about halfway through the stoppage time allotted. It's a minimum of 4 minutes from John Pitti. Good touch from Carioca. One by Medina, who was all the way up from his center back position, and that's what we've seen a lot from Diego Alonso's bunch tonight. Is one of the two center backs stepping all the way up and making life that much more difficult for Tigres.
And Tyler, you could actually make a case for either one of the two central back defenders for Rayados to be man of the match.
It's got to be Sanchez.
Sanchez, yeah, definitely Sanchez. But if also you wanted to, you can also state a case for Stefan Medina and the assignments that he's had to deal with and had to incur throughout.
Here's Gignac, he got a touch to it, but it's just wide. He is an absolute poacher.
Quiñones, who got a little bit more involved. Coming in, Hugo Ayala, and you start to see the desperation set in as far as Tigres are concerned. But still, your point to what you made before, the most offensive player in the past 20 minutes on the pitch has been Andre Pierre Gignac. So you really start to look at the return leg and how involved is he going to be? Do you play him from the onset? Do you play him from the beginning? I would say yes, the gravity of the situation. What adjustments do I make? Do I have to be more offensive? Absolutely, and this does help Monterrey as we get into the final 30 seconds. But they can drop back a little bit more. They can be a little bit more wary as far as the result is concerned and wait on the attack. And wait for Monterrey and force them to go on the attack a bit more because they have to win at all costs in order to advance. In order to win, I should say, the title.
Valencia in for Pizarro. Again, good play from Medina. He's been terrific tonight. As Juan mentioned, both center backs for Monterrey have done it. And Monterrey does the job at Estadio Universitario. It's an excellent result for Diego Alonso's side. Nicolas Sanchez with the game winner in the 43rd. The job is not done, and that's exactly what Nahuel Guzman is trying to relay to the crowd. There's still 90 minutes to play, 25 minutes down the road next week. If the second leg is anything like the first, you're in for a treat and then some. Full time in the first leg, Monterrey 1, Tigres 0. Juan Arango, what do we make of it all?
Masterclass defensively. for Monterrey. Ironic to say that with one of the most offensive teams in Mexican football, outmastering the master of defense in Tuca Ferretti. But as you said, Tyler, it's going to be a tremendous classic of a match just about 13 kilometers away. That's going to be very key as far as Monterrey's pretensions. And not only that, 4th time in 4 finals at the CONCACAF level that they've been able to come away successful.
Well, if it were allowed and if it were feasible, I think that the crowd would want the second leg to happen in about 20 minutes. But such is life sometimes. We gotta wait a week for second leg between these two sides. We're gonna step aside. Thanks for joining us, folks. 1-0 is the final score.